Hi everyone. Welcome into our third podcast here of Caps on the Coast. We're checking in here after what's it been, about a week and a half since the MLS Cup Final.
That's right.
We took a bit of time away just to recuperate our thoughts and try to process all the emotions. It was a really long season that we endured, and we definitely needed some time away from some soccer. It's been so many games. We probably watched about every game this season, and yeah, we just wanted to really think about what that final meant to us and think about where it went wrong and what we could have done better. So the final result was 3-1 for Miami. They beat the Whitecaps. The game, of course, was in Miami, so they did have home field advantage. But it was kind of the tale of two different parts of the game. You had the first half where Miami started off quite well and they scored an early goal, but it was an own goal from Ocampo. You had Allende driving down the wing there, and he went to cross it in, and it just kind of hit off Ocampo's leg and went into the net. And then the Whitecaps really turned it on after that, and things were looking up for a while. Ahmed got his first goal in a long time, and we were tied 1-1. We had all the momentum, and then you had that crazy play where Sabi drove into the net, went past a few players, hit a shot off the post. It hit both posts and then went out, and then he ran into the box and hit it off the post again. So it felt like that was really our chance to get that leading goal and just really take control of the match, but it didn't turn out that way. Miami ended up scoring two goals after that, and it was quite devastating from our point of view. Of course, you really thought the Whitecaps could win that game, didn't you?
Yes, until late in the game, I thought the Whitecaps had the play. They had about 60% possession in total during the match. They had something like 431 passes to Miami 221, something like that. That's how much dominated possession. Um, we missed with one chance first half where Alter worked his way edge of the pad, little low, but didn't. I think the Whitecaps could be criticized for not enough when they had the chance. I know we did
Yeah.
posts like that. They only had on goal, and that's not enough. I know one shot goes there, and so until they he was in the game. Koopas under Cooper. I don't know into doing a fine first half marking it, but it just took a couple of moves in the second half. One of them where Cubas had the ball just outside the area. Messi was on top of it, played the ball, and next thing Messi is passed to Rodrigo, and the ball is in the net. Until that point, thought we still had a good chance to win the game. And then of course he showed his ball control and the magic he has with the ball when he also passed to Allende for the third goal when we were pressing at the very end of the game. So it's a difficult way to play the game after controlling it a different aspect.
Yeah, I think the game itself was kind of the tale of moments. Like it came down to a few moments in the game where Whitecaps just kind of turned off for a minute and Messi just took over the game. I mean, Messi was largely ineffective throughout the match. He didn't do very much other than those three goals,
Right?
and he kind of just came alive in moments. And
Mm.
yeah, you saw him just take over and just pick up the ball in some good areas and deliver a cutthroat pass to his striker. So the Whitecaps needed to do a better job of shutting down Messi in those moments and not giving the ball away in such dangerous areas. And yeah, it was just upsetting from our point of view because the Whitecaps worked so hard to get to this moment and they did so well in the game, but they just needed you need to be perfect against Miami, and we weren't perfect on the night. And you saw that when Kubas gave the ball away for their second goal. You saw it when Ocampo made a mistake and the ball went into the back of our net, and yeah, it was just disappointing. Like we really outplayed them for the majority of the match, but we didn't capitalize on our chances, and
No,
it ultimately cost us the match.
yeah, that's the difference. We didn't capitalize on some chances we had. I thought White missed a couple of good crosses. His timing, to pick up the ball in the penalty area from a good cross or two, he missed them. So yeah, you've got to be able to shoot. We were at 4 shots and a couple of headers on the net, but I think all our shots were on the net, but on the goal. But yeah, where it is.
Yeah, it was a disappointing final for us, but throughout the season, that was a bit of the theme. We made it to the finals and then lost. And you had the CONCACAF Champions Cup where we lost 5-0 to Cruz Azul in the final, and
Yeah,
Canadian Championship, we won the final. I mean, not to take anything away from Langley FC, but these are two completely different caliber teams, and that was a pretty comfortable victory for us. But yeah, I think next season we're gonna pull a lot away from these games, and we're
mm,
gonna hopefully learn to step up in the big moments when the light's on us. And it's not something that the Whitecaps are used to, being in this position where we're fighting for trophies and stuff. It's kind of a new feeling for the club, and probably for a lot of the players too. In their careers, they haven't been like, for a lot of players, the MLS Cup Final would have been the biggest game of their career so far, other than like international games and stuff. But yeah, it seems like in the big moments we can't put it all together like we have been.
that will be the goal, I think, for the management and for the coaching, and will be towards not just getting to the finals as they have this year, but playing, stepping up in the finals. If they reach a final, they'll have the experience of this year, and hopefully it make a difference if in any final going ahead for next year.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely need to take some moments away from these games and just apply them to next year, and we just have to be critical in those moments and not give the ball away in dangerous areas, especially when you're up against the best player of all time in Lionel Messi. He will punish you if you give the ball away. So, yeah, we have to be more aware of that, and the players need to be more clinical with our chances when we create. But that's kind of what the game is at that top level, is the fine margins, and
Mm-hmm.
we lost in those margins. But overall, it was a great game. I think it lived up to the hype, at least.
Oh
Would
yeah,
you say, in terms of the two best teams going at it?
yeah. It was considered an exciting game. The journalists, the people that cover the finals and cover the MLS, there was a lot of hype before the game, and the game didn't disappoint. It was exciting, and until the last 10, 15 minutes, it was a question of we might be going to time and penalty shot. So the family, people watching the game, quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we had quite a few supporters from Vancouver that went out to even watch the game, and they
Yeah,
looked thrilled. I know when we scored that first goal, there was a video that went viral of the whole Whitecap supporter group just jumping up and down and like partying and getting all excited at the game. It
yeah,
was an amazing atmosphere
yeah.
for everyone there.
This was at BC Place that Ty is talking about. Yeah, we were there. 20,000 fans, almost as many fans at BC Place watching it on the big screen as watching the game in person in Miami. So it was like we had won the game after waiting so long to tie it up and score that first goal, the only goal we got. But it was amazing feeling, right?
Yeah, and we kind of talked about after the game like the silver lining in all of this and some positives that we can take out. And I think the Whitecaps, the main thing that they'll take out from this game and the season in general is just a new bar that they've set for the club, for the fans, for the city, for everyone, that like we are a winning team, we can be a winning team, and they're going to keep trying to prove that as we go on. And whereas in past seasons the goal was just to make the playoffs, like that's that's kind of all we cared about. Like under even under Vanni Sartini, it was always just make the playoffs and it's a successful season. That was the bar, was just to qualify. And then after that, it was like, well, we can make the playoffs now, but can we beat these big teams? Can we beat LAFC? Can we beat a San Diego?
Mm.
That was the question, and we did. We did both of those. We beat LAFC at home, and then we beat San Diego away in a absolutely dominant performance. So we proved so much this season, and that's just going to set the bar higher for next season. Now there's expectations, and anything short of an MLS Cup final next year will, I think, be a disappointment.
Exactly. We were 3 points behind in the race. There's 30 teams in the MLS, and we were third from the top, from the winning the Supporters Cup. We're right there with the best teams, right at the top. We can hope. I think we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The particular players that we have carry on with the nucleus team and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. That was that was how close it was to us even potentially winning the cup final. Was we were 3 points away from hosting, and that all came down to the decision day game where Laborda got a red card in the first 5 minutes, and we had to defend, well, defend a man down for the whole game, but it was actually us attacking and applying pressure and pushing the pace. And really, we should have won that game against Dallas. It's shocking that we didn't score because we had, yeah, 80% possession and we were down a man for almost the entire game. That's almost unheard of at any level. The fact that we were able to do that was just a testament to the will of the team and the fight, which we then continued to show throughout the playoffs, especially against LAFC, where we were able to hold on to a 2-2 draw with 2 men down. We were playing with 9 men for about 20 minutes in overtime. Of course, we got a bit of luck from the crossbar and the posts, but we ended up going through on penalties, and yeah, that just kind of spoke to the power and the mental fortitude of the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives throughout the season. I mean, we can go on and on about all the success and the positives, but I just want to shift the gears quickly to there's the club in general. There's a lot of concerns around the team and whether or not it will be staying in Vancouver. And I know personally this is something I tried not to think about throughout the season because it's largely out of everyone's control other than the commissioners and the owners and, yeah, the mayor of Vancouver. But I think the fans really showed out the season, and that will hopefully help the club stay in the city. But you had the MLS Commissioner Don Garber come out the day before the MLS Cup Finals, and he made a statement saying that if he doesn't see some good progress soon, whether that be a new stadium or a contract renewal or a better contract signed with the club and BC Place, then he was essentially threatening to take the club out of Vancouver and saying that there's lots of other cities in North America that want a soccer team and that may be willing to purchase the Whitecaps. So I mean, you'd hope that the team and the fans and the players did enough this season to keep the club there. I think they really built the hype. But what do you think it would take for the club to stay in the city at this point?
This is a worry, sure. But as you say, we know there's four owners of the team, and we heard actually just in January, I think it was, before the season started last year, that the team, the owners, are thinking of putting the club up for sale. So we had such a good season. I think this allowed to kind of forget about the possibility. Shortly, name that it was mentioned to be on sale. We hear we heard they to negotiate the possibility of building a stadium with the city of Vancouver. Working with them, and we know it's happening now with the next, since finished for the next year, 2006. The city and the Whitecaps team are going to be the possibility of using the old racetrack in Eagle with the design of the a lease and the financial for both the and the clubs. This was the concern. Too expensive rent as with many other companies, the club renting slaves. We says that, for example, we're getting not enough from the same food and refreshments that are sold there. The rental is too expensive for an MLS. It's we prove soccer city. We prove we're a football city.
Absolutely.
Had some of the biggest crowd, the biggest crowd in MLS. We set I think record for it a couple of times, well over 50,000. So why would the team leave such a football and support there? So I personally don't think the team will leave. They still sign a new contract, which is just expired with the place. Even if they new stadium, they'd have to sign a contract with stadium another 3 to 4 years. Maybe it would be a better contract than what they with the company that controls the place, which is kind of government company. I think the structures are here. I think the owners on the club. I personally live in Vancouver, but the future is stay at BC and have a like many that have an franchise declared stadium in the future.
Yeah, there's so many questions up in the air right now, and it seems like we haven't really had a clear answer of what's going to happen. But the city did commit with the club to building the stadium, like you say, or at least talk about it and consider it as a possibility. So that's hopeful, at least in keeping the club in the city. And the only other option other than a new stadium is a renegotiation of their deal with BC Place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why this has taken so long to come together because obviously the stadium and the owners are making a ton of money off this club. They're selling out packed out crowds for games. So it seems a bit ridiculous that they wouldn't be willing to give the Whitecaps a better deal. They're bringing in so much revenue and ticket sales and merchandise and beverages and all that. So why are they so unwilling to give the Whitecaps a better deal? Because of course the MLS is a business at the end of the day, and they need to make money too off of their clubs. And this is the whole reason that these discussions of the club leaving the city have come about, is because the Whitecaps aren't bringing in nearly enough revenue as they should be for the league and for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there needs to be a change soon. And I hope that they see the value in keeping this club in the city, because you have the 2026 World Cup coming in, I guess, 6 months now, or 5 months, and that's going to build huge hype. Of course, BC Place is a host city for the World Cup. So yeah, this city is becoming more and more of a soccer hub in Canada, and I think the fans and even just the people living in Vancouver are really feeling this shift. And I've even heard players on the Whitecaps talk about going into the city now and maybe going out for a meal or walking around, and they can feel the difference in, they hear people talking about it. They have more fans coming up to them. It's a growing atmosphere that's improving every day. So
Yeah.
they need to do their best to keep the club here, and it's beneficial for everyone to keep them here, of course. And then the other thing I wanted to discuss was the players, the Whitecaps players this season. And I just wanted to ask you who was the most shocking? Who do you think improved the most? And like, yeah, who caught you by surprise? Is like, wow, this player's having an amazing season despite what they've done the previous years.
Right. Well, the player I think that surprised many of us, and certainly I was surprised by his improvement, was Sebastian Berholt. He became an outstanding. He was always steady. It was like he had an extra boost energy to his play this year. He scored a few goals. He has a good shot from just inside or just outside the penalty area, long range shot.
Yeah. 8 goals and 12 assists for him this season.
And I know he's been called up to the U.S. national team. He's had a couple of games. He's just become the player which you hope for your midfielder. And he together were magic in the midfield. Had a different playing at a different, and he ended. He has incredible. He never seemed to tire out, but his skill level seemed to blossom, and so he was my prize player.
Yeah. Yeah, Berhalter was unreal this season. He kind of came out of nowhere in a way. Like he was with the Columbus Crew, and he was a free agent, and we just took a chance and signed him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hasn't looked back since. He was pretty solid in the previous years, like you said. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was good, but he never hit nearly the same level as he's hit this season. It's like he's like a late bloomer in a way. Like I
Yeah.
think he's maybe 25, 24. He's, kind of mid-age, getting near his prime, but yeah, he just came out of nowhere and he shocked the whole country. He's shocked the whole league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you say, MLS All-Star, US men's national team call up. He'll probably be on their roster for the World Cup.
Right.
And this is a player that wasn't even on their radar before. Like he had never been called up to a camp other than in the youth national team days.
Right.
So this was a new revelation for Mauricio Pochettino, the head coach. And yeah, I see him playing at the World Cup for sure. And I hope he stays in the MLS and with the Whitecaps, but from an unbiased point of view, you also want him to go to Europe because he's at that level now where it feels like he can take another step and elevate his game even further. Maybe even like the championship or somewhere in England kind of suits him because he's very physical and
Yeah.
tactically driven, and he's dominant on both sides of the ball. He's a defensive, he's an attacking player. He can really dominate a game on his day. But if he can do this for another season with the Whitecaps, I definitely see him making a big move to Europe.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you, Ty. I know he and Ali Ahmed, have looked to Europe, or they would hesitate if they got an offer probably to go to Europe, and they're both the skills, developing skills to play in the leagues over there. So that could be certainly in the not too distant future for both.
Yeah, Ahmed was the other player who I thought of as very, very much improved because
Right.
he was always a tricky attacking player, very elusive, could take on a few players, beat a few, but he never had that final like quality, like the final ball and the points to back up his play.
Mm-hmm.
So this year he got some goals. He got quite a few assists as well, and he had a great season. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we see him move to Europe soon, and especially with his success with the Canadian men's national team as well. He's
Right.
been an absolute revelation under Jesse Marsh, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting at the left wing at the World Cup. I really wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to go over a few contract extensions and terminations here. So the Vancouver Whitecaps have exercised the contract options on Adrian Zendejas, which I think is a third-string goalkeeper for the Whitecaps. Matthias Laborda, Sebastian Berhalter, JC Ngondo, Ralph Priso, Ali Ahmed, and Thomas Mueller. So the Whitecaps currently have 26 players on their roster at this moment in time. And they've let a few players go, so the club has confirmed it will not exercise defender Bilal Halbouni. And then furthermore, the club has declined the contract option on goalkeeper Max Anker, defender Mark O'Neill, forward Nicolas Florian Chateau, and they have declined the purchase option on Daniel Rios. So Daniel Rios will now return to Chivas because he was in Vancouver on loan. So yeah, a few moves there, but what stands out to you?
Well, what I'm happy to hear from what you say, and from what I'd heard too, was we have the nucleus of the team staying as is for next year,
Yeah.
and that's obviously important if we want to see any kind of repeat of the year we had this year. We haven't, yeah. So I know Rio's a couple of scored a couple, but I can understand him not staying with the team and not exercising the right to keep him. Nagando, mentioned Nagando. I think saying goodbye to his some good time, some good playing time, but it seems to me he's not staying with it. And Takio, we haven't talked about.
Yeah,
We
we hope he stays.
we hope he stays because he's one of the top 2 or 3 goalies in the league. We'd heard, a rumor that he might be interested in going back to Japan, but he came up really, really big for us in different games during the year, and he was close to the most shutout any goalie in the league, a blank sheet, and so he's an outstanding. Like,
Yeah, yeah, we're nervous a bit that Takaoka might leave, but they are in contract discussions with him at the moment. So there is a possibility that he stays with the club.
mhm,
And the Whitecaps have also been rumored with Dane St. Clair from Minnesota, as his contract is up at the end of the season and he hasn't signed a renewal yet. So that's a possibility of a big goalie in the league that we could bring in to replace Takaoka. But I think if the price is right, we will keep Takaoka because he's
mhm,
been great, and his distribution, his passing is not something that can be overstated enough, like how important that is for our team. So yeah, I hope he stays. And the few players that are leaving, they didn't see a ton of playing time, like Mark O'Neill and a few with Florian Chateau. They were second team call ups,
mhm.
kind of on the reserves, and they didn't really see much playing time. And then the other player leaving was, who was it? I forget now. But yeah, it's oh yeah, Daniel Rios, and I think that makes sense. I mean, he was brought in as a backup striker, and he only scored 3 goals all season. So I think we can get better value for his salary and the type of player that we want to have.
Yeah.
Because Brian White is a great first string striker. We'll be happy to have him for the next season, but I think we can get a backup that's better than Rios at this point in time. So it makes sense. And then the last thing I just want to talk about is our round one matchup in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We're going to be matched up against Club Sport Cartaginés. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but they are from Costa Rica. They play in the same league as Saprissa, which is the team that we faced in the first round of last year's Champions Cup.
Mhm.
And they're currently seeded third in the league. But I I haven't watched that team, but I do think the matchup should be easy enough for the Whitecaps. They should be able to progress through the first round. The team is currently seated lower than Saprissa in the table, so that should make for an easier matchup. But again, styles make games, so it's hard to say right now. But yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup, and we'll look forward to the first game of the season. I think it's February the 15th. They'll kick off the 2026 season.
That would be a home and away game, 2 games, right?
Yeah, 2 legs.
Yeah,
We'll go down
uh,
to Costa Rica and
yeah,
Vancouver.
yeah. No, well, the Whitecaps, because they've had such a looking ahead here, because they've had such a successful season, and they had their last game December 6th. They're having a nice sort of Christmas December break, and
Yeah,
they'll be getting together again around middle of January, something like the 13th of January, and start training again. As in the past few years, they've been to Spain for their training, but
yeah, for a preseason
they're
camp.
having a very short break between seasons because of their success.
Yeah, that's true because they played the MLS Cup Final. They made it all the way to the end of that tournament, so
Yeah.
they were playing right up until, what was it, the 8th? They played the final on December 8th. So, yeah, they don't have a huge break. I expect them to be back training in early January or mid-January. And then, yeah, we can probably expect a few additions to the team, but overall, like we said, the nucleus of the team will largely remain the same. As of right now, there's no players that are of great value that are moving on. There is rumors that Kubas could be going to Brazil for around
That's
a $4 million transfer, but nothing is confirmed yet. And we'll definitely keep you guys updated going forward. If there is any big transfer moves, yeah, we'll discuss it here on the podcast. So again, thank you guys for tuning in to our third episode here of Caps on the Coast, and we look forward to hopping back on soon, and we'll definitely be back to preview the season. So, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to our next podcast.
Absolutely. All right, bye guys.
I know.